On scale like energy shield. Man, yo, this is gonna be a beefy boss. Alright, this is about to be a lot of NATOs. That's a lot of tornadoes! I thought they nerfed twisters, but they're still good. They're still very good, Richard. Richard, look at this. Look at this, Richard. I will show you.
You're right. Need more time.
Look at the twisters, Richard. Look at the twisters.
Wait. Hold on. Need a moment.
Are you proud of me, Richard? Yo, guys, what is up? Max in our Path of Exile 2 video, and today we're going over our updated Critnado Huntress. Now, this is my third iteration. The first video that we posted was, like, right when we got to, like, Cruel Act 1. The second video was hitting maps and, like, clearing our first, like, 3. We're now clearing, like, tier 12s, tier 13s, working our way up there. And now we've gotten a little bit more, like, flexibility with the build to really start amplifying it and getting the gear and the uniques and the things that we need to make this build so strong. I was feeling really discouraged when I saw that it got changed, but there's now been like a recent technical buff that was also, they did like a second bug fix that the skill was like not inheriting multiple elements, which we'll talk about, but the build is feeling incredibly powerful. We've made some tweaks to it to not only make it an incredibly fast map blaster, but also just to delete bosses. I hope you guys enjoy the full breakdown. Let's go over it. So we're going to start by talking about changes to the build, and then we'll kind of go over everything. I just want to, for those of you that have been keeping up, some of the most important changes that have made a huge impact for this build. The first is quality on Twister. Twister, for at 20% quality, gets a 20% chance for an additional twister. My camera's kind of blocking it. But if we're sending out an additional twister with that 20%, and that's going through Whirlwind, that's another additional 3 twisters. And if we're sending it through Barrage, it could be even more. And so that 20% chance is what's helping us generate even more twisters with this build. And the other thing that we're using is we got a greater jewel on Barrage, which is now we're using twofold on. Twofold benefits from consuming charges for supported skills have a 20% chance to be doubled. If we're consuming 6 frenzy charges, this is the potential to count as consuming 12, which is a ridiculous amount of twisters generated. And the other thing that's also helping us generate and create a bunch of things is we put some quality on Combat Frenzy. This gives us a 20% chance when we gain a charge to gain an additional charge. So our Frenzy generation's feeling a whole lot better. Our Barrage, where we're sending out tons of NATOs and our twisters, everything is just making a ton more twisters with this build. Now, in terms of the rest of the stuff that we're using, big updates to the build, we now are using Herald of Ice. Now, Herald of Ice was nerfed. It has slightly less radius and slightly less damage because I don't have a ton of intelligence. I'm only using a level 12 version of this, but Herald of Ice helps a ton with clear because it's going to give us explosion pops on enemies that are frozen, and they're going to help our clear so much in terms of just like sometimes the tornadoes go one way or not. As long as we're hitting an enemy with this, we're going to chill them, we're going to explode them, and that is awesome. Now, if we wanted to be freezing very consistently with this build, we would need to be speccing into such as things like freeze buildup. And I did not want to spec into all of these points into freeze buildup. And so what we're doing instead, for the time being, is we're using the Pulsar Keln ring. This ring was very popular last season. It is still incredibly powerful. This reads that enemies chilled by your hits can be shattered as though frozen. Note that this is not actually freezing them, it's just shattering them as if they were frozen. And this means that all of the enemies that we're hitting with our twisters, regardless of how much we're really like freezing them, because we're not really, they're going to still get shattered like they would be, which means that Herald Device is very consistently proccing, which gives us a ton of like quality of life and clear speed to the build. So those are two of the biggest changes. We've gotten a bunch more twisters, and we're using Herald now with the Pulsar Kiln for the like explosions. Now, let's talk about kind of like the rest of the gem setups. So for skill gems on Frostbolts, once again, we're using a level 3. You don't need to level this. We're using Scatter Shot, Arcane Tempo, and Wild Shard, so we can send out a bunch of them. On Wind Dancer, very important to put on Precision. This is more accuracy. More accuracy is more crit for us. We're also using Herbalism for some extra life recovery, so that we can regen those hits when we get them. On Twister, I did get a Perfect Jewelers, so we're using Salvo, Persistence, Retreat. We've also now got Cold Infusion. On my gear, I'm only using Fizz and Cold, so we're not really missing any like Fire and Lightning. So this is just 25% more damage, and it's going to lead to more chill buildup. And then I'm also using Bullseye. Note that I might change this around potentially to Heft. There's a few other options, but Bullseye gives us a bunch more crit for this, because we're scaling our accuracy to give us more crit with our Ascendancy. So Bullseye is actually quite nice for this setup. Next, for a Whirling Slash, I've changed this a few times around. The skills that I've settled on for now are Martial Tempo, 25% more attack speed, and now we're using this as a damage setup. We now have this with Punch Through. Supported skills apply Easy Target on Knockback. Easy Target applied this way has a magnitude of 3% per meter of expected knockback distance. Basically, this just gives us Easy Target is a debuff, which causes the next projectile attack hit against the affected target to deal increased damage. This is just another multiplier. If we're hitting enemies with Whirling Slash, we just get more damage against them. I was using Font of Mana here before. I no longer have any mana issues. We like literally are big chilling on mana. We've got like enough regen that we can kind of just spam and really like not have many issues. So that's feeling great. So I took off Font of Mana. If you're having mana issues, though, you could definitely put that on. And then the other thing that we're using is Rage. Rage gives us another multiplier to our damage. Every time that we hit an enemy with Whirlwind, we get Rage on stacks. For like mapping, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be hitting enemies with Whirling Slash, so these don't really matter. But for like elites and rares and bosses, these can give us another multiplier for the build. Note that I'm currently not fully leveling Whirling Slash. It's only level 14, just to help with some of the mana cost issues. Next up on Barrage, we're going to be using Perpetual Charge for a chance to not remove charges, Premeditation for more damage, Ingenuity for 30% increased cooldown recovery, and Twofold for the chance to be doubled. Note that the playstyle of this build is you're trying to barrage every single attack. Every time that you use twisters, you're going to be barrage, and that works out really well because Salvo takes 3 seconds to stack up. So Salvo takes 3 seconds, and we've got right now like a 1.5 second cooldown time on barrage. And so when you're like, going around and doing your attacks, that's going to kill everything. You walk forward, barrage, that's going to kill everything. But you are going to want to try to barrage every single attack that you do because it's just such a massive damage multiplier for the build. Next up, for Combat Frenzy, we've got Profusion for a chance to get additional charges, Cannibalism for life recovery on kill, and Clarity for more mana regen. On Sniper's Mark, we're using Inspiration and Singled Out. Inspiration gives us less cost on this, which, it's whatever. Single Out is really great, though. Enemies marked by supportive skills have armor broken equal to 10% of physical damage taken. Note that we are dealing a large majority of physical damage, so this is going to make enemies lose armor, which is then another multiplier for the build. And then we've got Herald of Ice here with Cold Penetration, Primal Armament, and Magnified Effect for the bigger explosions. Lastly, I do have a companion on here. This is a Shocked Ground companion with the ability that we can put it down and get lightning on the ground. A lot of people were telling me to try out Beasts, and maybe these are good for when you're early in the campaign. But putting on supports such as Meat Shield for them to take less damage, Loyalty so that we could get a little bit of survivability, and Elemental Army so they got 30% all res. My Beast was basically getting one-tapped in maps. Everything that would touch it would die, and it felt unbelievably useless, so we are not using that. You could technically, for bosses, if you wanted to, disable Wind Dancer, and the like precision herbalism buffs, and then enable a pet for additional shocked ground. But I just found it not worthwhile. I'm a little disappointed. Maybe I just got a bad pet. But yeah, not really enjoying the whole like pet synergy stuff. For the skill tree, we've made actually a fair bit of changes. The first of which is that we are now grabbing in for the kill. This gives us 20% increased movement speed while an enemy with an open weakness is in our presence. Movement speed, fantastic. And then the big thing is the 40% skill speed. We were using this node early on pre-maps to get 25% skill speed, 40% skill speed for like whenever we're near like a unique basically, or a boss with that open weakness. We just get a ton of extra speed to send out NATOs, which feels really, really good. I did try out Elemental Infusion. I was hoping this would like give us 50% more damage because it potentially is insane for this build. Unfortunately, Infused Weapon only gives damage to the end of a projectile attack, which is the end of our tornado, and our tornadoes go freaking everywhere, and like 90% of the time they're not ending exactly on an enemy, and so Infused Weapon was absolutely useless. I don't have great accuracy on my weapon right now, so Penetrate is not really an option, but this is going to be something that we use later on. As with a weapon with like 300 accuracy, we can get tons of added fizz, which is beautiful for this build. And then we'll also probably potentially go Stalking Panther later on for a bunch more survivability. But right now, where I'm at, in for the kill is just the best option for us. For the actual skill tree, we unspec'd out of Primal Sundering for the elemental damage and AoE. The main reason we stepped out of this is just simply because we are doing cold damage, but once again, the majority of this build is physical still, and so this just didn't seem very worth. Instead, we path down to this node, which I freaking love. It like, you know, duration is so good for this build because the longer our tornadoes up, the more damage that they can deal, the further that they will travel. And this is a lengthy combo that we need to input in order to have a ton of tornadoes come out. And so the fact that they can stay up way longer, this is 8%, 8%, 8%. Skill effect duration is so good on this build, and its damage and frenzy buffs expire 10% slower on this. This is like an unbelievably good node for us. So I would rush getting this as soon as you can. It's going to make your tornadoes feel way better because they just stay around so much longer. And then moving over here, everything's basically the same. We did start speccing over to here where we're grabbing a ton of nodes. Everything here is just so good for us. We've got Falcon Technique for stacking attack speed, Nearsighted for 60% increased accuracy rating at close range, and Farsighted for reduced penalty to accuracy rating at range. Just gives us a ton more crit chance. We're grabbing all of the evasion nodes for some extra survivability. Then we get Fervor for 2+ to max frenzy charges, which we're generating a ton now. And then we grabbed Heart Stopping for more crit chance and Heartbreaking for more crit damage. And then where the build is going next is we're going to go grab Sharp Sight and Serrated Edge. These two are going to be really potent for this build. So can't wait to get them. We're like getting pretty close. But that is it for the skill tree. For the gems that I'm using, before I wasn't really using any gems. I just had like ones that dropped for me. I picked both of these up for like a few exalts. This one I grabbed for the skill effect duration and cold pen, just so we could have them. Skill effect duration, crit chance, crit damage, all that would be good. But I really just wanted some extra skill effect duration for the build. And then the jewel that I got for 5 exalts, which is freaking beautiful for this build, is projectile speed, crit chance, cooldown recovery, and increased projectile damage if we dealt the hit with the melee. I really just wanted extra cooldown so we could have barrage up more often, and I wanted some extra projectile speed because we're not using acceleration. We happen to get some crit chance and more projectile damage, so that's also a really nice one. For the gear, we're using a Orichalcum spear. For right now, I wouldn't worry too much about the base. Once we're like really min-maxing for endgame, base is going to be pretty important. But the one that I got, I bought with some fizz and some accuracy, some crit chance, and some crit damage. This cost me 20 exalts, and it's really nice. But the big thing that you really want for this build, the like #1 priority on your weapon, besides having good base damage, because you want it to be good DPS, this is currently a 328 DPS spear, is crit damage bonus. Part of the reason why crit damage bonus is so valuable, or building crit is so strong in this video game, is because crit damage is one of the only multiplicative stats that you can find. So, for example, if I take this off, let's say I take this off. I'm going to put on a different spear real quick. So let's say I put this spear on, right? This spear has no crit damage on it. We're just looking at our crit damage multiplier. Our crit damage bonus is 326. This has 22% crit damage. This is not going to go to like 48 crit damage bonus. It's going to go a lot higher because this is 22% more damage. It is 22% more crit. And so now we're going up like from 320 something to 398 because we're getting 22% more crit damage. So crit damage bonus is the like #1 most valuable stat for this build on your weapon. You do want extra fizz. You are going to want accuracy, but getting crit damage bonus will help you scale the damage of this build massively. The next thing to talk about is like rings and stuff. Real quick, after recording this, I ended up changing that ring to this one to get a bunch more accuracy. We needed more accuracy on the build, so I picked up this one with a bunch of accuracy, evasion, some max life, and some reses. Just more accuracy for more crit chance. Ups our DPS a lot on this build. These, I just looking for big accuracy. Gloves, you want accuracy, max life, crit damage, reses. If you can get attack speed, that's great. Belt, you're going to want strength, life, and reses. Boots, bushwhack, trust me on these. A lot of people have been asking about the like elemental boots. Oh, could you make like a fire tornado build? Could you make a shock build? Cold is the best for us, I promise. The thing with fire is we hit so many times. Ignites can only be applied once, so you'd get one ignite from one NATO, and all of the other ignites from all of the other NATOs would be completely ignored, and we're just not scaling ignite damage, so ignite would be trash. Fire, not good for us. Lightning, technically, would be solid, but on lightning, we lose cold, we lose shatter. Herald of Ice is just way better than Herald of Lightning, and we can add more lightning and stuff to this, but we're going to want to keep it as cold twisters, trust me. On our amulet, we allocated High Alert. This is like the cheapest anointment I could find. It costs absolutely nothing. It's probably like 1 exalt to do, and it's just 50% increased evasion rating while on full life with extra stun threshold. There's a ton of things that would be really valuable for us to anoint, and once we have like better amulets and some more like currency, we'll definitely anoint some better things. But High Alert is like an exalt, and it gives us a bunch of stun threshold and evasion, so that's really nice. And then lastly, for my shield, I am using one that just I grabbed some max life and I grabbed some reses. That's all I really cared about. Just trying to get some extra survivability. Extra block chance is also nice on your shield because it's gonna give you a little bit extra survivability and an additional layer to just evasion rating for survivability. Guys, it's gonna do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know. Guys, it's gonna do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Guys, it's gonna do it for the video. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, the max roll planner will be down in the description, and I'll be continuously updating. Right now, we've got like an early game, a like mid campaign, a early maps, a mid maps, and then the next update will be like tier 15 pluses and starting to do our first pinnacle bosses. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're enjoying the build, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Bye.